Hey folks, this is Kalani. The BlizzCon What's Next for World of Warcraft panel gave us some pretty awesome insight into what this next expansion is going to be all about, so let's break it down. If you haven't heard yet, the next World of Warcraft expansion is the Battle for Azeroth, where the Horde and Alliance go back to their old ways of tearing at each other's throats every chance they get. It's going to get bloody. So the premise for this expansion seems to revolve around all-out war. We dealt with all of the external threats that were forcing us to work together, and now that we're pretty safe for the time being, we're back to fighting amongst ourselves for land and resources. We're fighting for our faction's survival, so we're looking for any advantage we can get, which includes the search for allies. That search will take the Alliance to Kul Tiras, where they'll recruit one of the strongest naval forces Azeroth has ever seen, and the Horde will end up on Zandalar, recruiting one of the factions we've been asking about for quite a while, the Zandalari Trolls, who also happen to have an amazing naval force which might not only rival that of Kul Tiras, but which might actually be more powerful. We're going to need boats to traverse the sea, which separates the Horde and Alliance, so these two factions are a very good addition. So we start with a Kul Tiras preview where we can see they've been gone for quite a while. This is an ancient human kingdom which has always revolved around their nautical empire. It's currently ruled by 4 houses and has 3 main territories: the Stormsong Valley, Tiragard Sound, and Drustvar. Tiragard Sound is the main connection point to the sea, and this is where the capital of Kul Tiras lies, Boralus, which will be the Alliance hub for this expansion. It's currently led by Catherine Proudmoore, Jaina's mother, who is apparently 100% not a Dreadlord, but I'm not sure we should trust that just yet. We'll be exposed to some rather large humans who apparently dealt with worse monsters than we did because they're way buffer than we are, and this area also has a whole bunch of pirate troubles, so that will be a common theme throughout the zone, and it's something the Alliance will have to deal with. Drustvar is a forested mountainous region which is ruled by House Waycrest, but there seem to be a few problems which have been kept under wraps. Drustvar supplies arms to Kul Tiras, and the problems have been hindering that supply, causing quite a few issues. As we explore Drustvar, we discover that it's cursed, which might explain the problems they're having, something else the Alliance will have to deal with. Stormsong Valley is lush and green and is ruled by House Stormsong. They're led by a group of sea priests, and this is where the naval force of Kul Tiras is created. Stormsong provides all of the ships for their armies, but there are dark forces attacking from the sea, and lots of quillballs we'll have to deal with, so the Alliance is definitely going to be kept busy. Let's check out the Horde areas of Zandalar. Zandalar is an ancient troll empire who also have a powerful naval force which apparently rivals, if not surpasses, the Kul Tirans. That's why the Horde are seeking an alliance, but it's not going to be so easy. We'll have to sort out a few of their problems before they're willing to help our cause. This is a continent in turmoil, and we're going to have to fix some of it. Like Kul Tiras, Zandalar is broken up into 3 main regions: Nazmir, Vol'dun, and Zuldazar. Zuldazar is the capital city of the Zandalari and the only safe refuge the Zandalari trolls have in the entire region. They're being attacked from outside their borders, but also from within. Zuldazar will be the Horde hub for the expansion, and will have to investigate an uprising from within the city to try and keep things safe. There's also blood trolls attacking from the north from the swamps of Nazmir, so that's going to be a main focus while we try to create some form of order from all this chaos. Nazmir used to be a lush forest, but after the cataclysm, something was shook loose, and Nazmir started sinking into the ocean. Today, it's a wretched, festering swamp, which just so happens to be a perfect environment for blood trolls to thrive, the same blood trolls which are assaulting Zuldazar. To defeat the blood trolls, we'll enlist the aid of powerful Loa. As we explore further, we discover a Titan facility, which might contain another Destroy Azeroth machine, which is obviously not going to be good. Last up is the desert of Vol'dun, which used to be a vibrant jungle zone until a savage group of old god minions desecrated the entire area, leaving only desert and ruin in their wake. So what use does the Zandalari have for an uninhabitable desert? They throw all their criminals out there to die, and most of them do. We'll meet a new race of fox people called the Vulpera as well, who we'll befriend, and another new race of snake people called the Sethrak, who will probably just try to eat us. But they do look pretty cool. So that's all we have for Zandalar so far. All throughout the Battle for Azeroth expansion, we're going to be following the stories of Thrall, Sylvanas, Anduin, and Jaina to see how they impact the world and the war between the two factions. We're also going to explore the story of Vol'jin, so we should get some of that wrapped up too. The way this expansion is going to play out is a little different than most. We have 6 zones total spanning the 2 new continents, but each faction will only go to their 3 zones for the leveling process. Kul Tiras will get Alliance players up to 120 and Zandalar will get Horde players up to 120. When you reach max level, the other factions' continents will open up for play, and probably a bit of pillaging. So when you get to max, you suddenly get another huge chunk of content ready to play. That's a really interesting way to do it. To keep track of what's happening and where, there will also be a war campaign woven through the expansion, just like the Class Hall campaign, so we can keep up with all the current battles, wins and losses, and the story overall. World quests and emissaries will also return when you hit max level, so you can look forward to those again. The Allied Races new feature brings the Lightforged Draenei, Dark Iron Dwarves and the Void Elves into the Alliance, while bringing the High Mountain Tauren, Nightborn and Zandalari Trolls into the Horde. But we won't have access to these races right away. Each of these races will be prominent in the new expansion and will have to help each faction before they're willing to join forces with the Alliance or the Horde. When you manage to bring a new ally into the fold, you will unlock that race for yourselves. So you need to help the Nightborn to play the Nightborn, etc, etc. Each new race comes with new racial abilities, which I hope are fantastical, but I guess we'll have to wait and see if we get more info on that later. The races also have wider customization available to them. Lightforged Draenei have light symbols all over their bodies which can be customized just like Demon Hunter tattoos, and the other races all have similar bits and bobs. These allied races start at level 20, so you basically skip all of the very beginning zones, which does make a lot of sense. You can race change to them after they're unlocked, so don't worry about that, but if you level one from 20 to 110, you will be awarded with a unique set of armor which is transmoggable across any armor types called Heritage Armor. These armor sets reflect the essence of the allied races and look really awesome. This feature will start with the 6 I've already mentioned, but many more are planned to be added in a similar fashion. This is another system which can be added upon for years to come. There's going to be a whole bunch of leveling improvements which all include the new scaling technology. This was a super smart move and honestly just a natural evolution of the system which was introduced in Legion. Instead of having all zones scale from 1 to max level, there will be minimum and maximum boundaries, so each zone will have a level range which seems tied to each expansion. The examples given were Westfall scaling from 10 to 60, while the Burning Steppes scales from 40 to 60. After you get past an expansion, the scaling would stop in that expansion zone, so you still feel like you progress past an expansion's power level. This also makes sure when you go back to any old zones that they don't suddenly scale to you at max level when they're a starting zone in vanilla. There's also going to be some reorganization of expansions. Outland and Northrend will scale from 60 to 80, giving you the choice of either or for that chunk of leveling. Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria zones will both scale from level 80 to 90, giving you a choice there as well. We didn't get any information on Warlords or Legion zones, so that might not be included just yet. Dungeons and rewards throughout all of these areas and zones will also scale appropriately, which is going to be very interesting. These changes also won't be delayed until the expansion release. They will start being implemented in patch 7.3.5, which will go up on the public test realms in a few weeks, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. There have been a lot of questions regarding our artifact weapons and what will become of that system. Our artifact weapons will go one way or the other and we'll get a new artifact, but it's not a weapon this time. We will commune with the world soul of Azeroth and she will bestow upon us the Heart of Azeroth medallion, which appears to go in the next slot. This medallion will be powered up by gathering Azerite, which is the life essence of Azeroth's soul which is spilling out all over the place. Leveling up our medallion will allow us to empower different pieces of armor. This system seems to be in early stages still, but the current plan is to allow you to empower a headpiece, shoulder piece, and chest piece. Each of these pieces of armor will grant you a few bonuses or abilities which look pretty close to the artifact system or the Netherlight Crucible system. Ian confirmed that the traits available will be static across armor types, so a helm will always grant the helm benefits while the shoulders will always grant the shoulders benefits, no randomness like with the Netherlight Crucible, and we'll see if that holds true by the time the system is finished. We'll unlock new choices as we empower the Heart of Azeroth, so welcome to Artifact Power 2.0. The island expeditions take us to the uncharted islands across the Great Sea where the Horde and Alliance will be skirmishing over resources. They will be similar to the old scenarios as they are 3-player cooperative gameplay and will present varied and dynamic objectives for you to complete. You can find yourself on an island with friendly inhabitants who just need a little help, or you can find islands with monsters aplenty hiding some shiny loot. There are also islands where you'll have to race against AI opponents, and even islands where you'll have to deal with the opposing factions in epic PvPvE battles. There's another new feature coming with warfronts. These are large-scale 20-player conflicts on each home front which are influenced by the Warcraft 3 and older RTS games. You'll be pitted against NPC armies from the opposing faction as you collect resources to build structures, research upgrades, and lead your troops to victory. It looks like we basically get to play Warcraft in the world of Warcraft. We also have a whole bunch of PvP updates in store. There's going to be new arenas in Tiragard and Zandalar, and a new battleground called the Seething Shore, where the Horde and Alliance struggle to take control over Silithus and the massive amounts of Azurite bubbling to the surface through the wound left by Sargeras. It's going to be based around control points, but have a few twists. The new battleground will be coming in patch 7.3.5, so we also won't have to wait for the expansion release to get our hands on it. There's also quite a few changes to the way world PvP is going to work. PvP and PvE servers are all going to be the same when the next expansion hits, and PvP out in the world is going to be opt-in only. So every server will basically be a PvE server, but there are going to be bonuses put in place for those who choose to wave their faction flag proudly. You might get bonus experience or loot for being flagged for PvP while questing, but we don't have any specific details just yet. On the PvE side of things, the expansion will launch with 10 dungeons, with each faction having their own separate leveling up dungeons. All dungeons will unlock with the rest of the world when you reach level 120. There's also Mythic Keystone updates in the works, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but that also confirms that Mythic Plus will be there to keep us busy in battle for Azeroth. One example of a dungeon we got was Freehold, a sprawling cliffside outlaw hideaway located in Tiragard Sound, which is sure to contain all manner of unsightly scum just waiting for us to steal their loot. We also had a sneak preview of Atal Dazar, which is located in Zuldazar and is a golden tomb of the Zandalari kings, which is nestled in the mountains. I wonder if we'll discover something about Vol'jin down there, seeing as it's a troll tomb, but either way there should be a whole bunch of shiny trinkets just waiting to be snatched up. We have names for the other dungeons, but no specifics just yet. The others are Tol Dagor, Waycrest Manor, Shrine of the Storm, Siege of Borealis, Temple of Sethrilis, the Underrot, King's Rest, and Kazan. We're launching with quite a few dungeons here, which is always super exciting. We also got a small preview of the first raid tier, Uldir Halls of Control. This will be the Emerald Nightmare of the new expansion, a bit of an introductory raid to get things started. Uldir is a Titan quarantine facility which seems to be the source of the corruption we'll be dealing with on Zandalar. The raid will feature 8 bosses, which is a pretty good number for a starting raid. We also know we will deal with Queen Azshara at some point during the expansion, so that little loose end will finally be wrapped up, which will undoubtedly lead us closer to N'Zoth. And that's all we have from the What's Next panel so far. I say all we have, that's a whole bunch of awesome information which just gets me even more excited about getting my hands on this expansion. I'm really curious how everything will pan out, and I wonder if the dev team can keep everything rolling after Legion being a huge success. I hope we get another Legion and not another Warlords of Draenor, and from what we've seen so far, I definitely think we're closer to another Legion. So that's it for this video. Be sure to stay tuned as more information is released. How are things shaping up so far? Do you like the look of what's been shown? Leave all your thoughts and theories in the comments section below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.